Um, so the calling often for many of us to come to either therapy or to come to some kind of spiritual group is often because of a sense of suffering inside us. Not always, but mostly it is. In my experience, mostly it's been that. Some kind of a feeling of, something is missing, or some deep wound, or some kind of a sense of incompleteness or something like that. And therapy is also very good for that. Therapy is very good for looking into those wounds, looking into those, all these different areas of our life, and really exploring them and seeing if we can bring a kind of healing to those areas in us. But where therapy and satsang differ is that satsang is about a shift in our core identity. It's about a shift in the core identity so that our sense of self shifts from a kind of separate individual person into much more the spiritual heart, so that we know ourselves firstly as the spiritual heart and maybe later as the pure self. Therapy is not so much about that as far as I'm aware. Obviously, I'm not a therapist, but I've had therapy, and I sometimes have some therapy even now. It's very strong things come in me. And I see that it has its place, but it is not what satsang is. So whenever people bring up very strong things, that is all welcome here. But ultimately, we are not trying to just fix our kind of personal life here. We're not trying to become the best person we can be here. We are here, we're talking about a shift in the very ground of our identity. And I think that's so important to distinguish and to be clear about. In fact, my feeling is that we can only truly heal when we begin to discover that inside us which can be with everything, and that inside us which can truly hold the ground of conscious presence. Because I know for a lot of people who go to therapy, many people maybe in this group go to therapy, that unless you've found the ground of being inside you, you will then maybe rely on a therapist, or you may often feel very overwhelmed. But here you're being encouraged to find the ground of the spiritual heart, to find that place inside you which is unconditioned being, and from that place of natural presence and wholeness, to bring that into your humanness, and especially the parts of you which are wounded, or the parts which feel they've been neglected in some way. So it's an important thing to distinguish the difference between them. And I feel in these particular meetings, we probably speak more about humanness than we do in almost any other satsang I've been to. We speak about humanness a lot here. And it is my job, I feel, as someone who's sort of guiding here a little bit, to remember that it is about awakening to our deeper self. This is really why we're here. Awakening to the deeper self. And coming to know the deeper self to be what we truly are, rather than something that we just visit or something that we just go towards. But it becomes more that becomes our core identity. So we know ourselves to be that. And yeah, so that is always what is being encouraged here, the shift in identity, the movement into being and the knowing oneself as being.